Thanks. Amen. Come on. Come on. In the book, beginning at Matthew 14, it reads that straightway Jesus constrained the disciples. Before we go into our message, I want us to understand this part of the message. It said Jesus constrained the disciples. That means he had to force them. They didn't want to go, Penny. They were so caught up in the moment of feeding the 5,000 folks and gathering the baskets that they didn't want to go. They didn't want to leave the excitement and the joy and the thrill of watching and seeing what he had done, the moment of receiving and feeling the power. Can you imagine how the 5,000 men and all of the people that was there made them feel being with Jesus and all this that he had done and all this joy and thanks they was given to him, more so the reverence that they were lifting him up on? Can you imagine being a follower, a close follower, and feeling this, all of this acceptance? But more importantly, they began to feel the power of what it means to have a close relationship with Christ and how it comes back to you. But in feeling the power, they began to want for things that God didn't want them to have. See, Penny, in this message, the disciples had begun to go in a direction that wasn't for Christ. So he had to constrain them to get in the board. He had to force them to get in the board, because at that point in time, they was ready to lead a rebellion against the authoritarian figures that was in order. Because they wanted right now to appoint Christ as the Messiah. Right. It wasn't his time. They wanted to get ahead of why Christ had came. Come on, somebody. Amen. They had one moment of this feeling of accomplishment by being there and witnessing 5,000 or more get fed from 2 fishes and 5 loaves. And overnight, they became something that God didn't want them to be. Come on, somebody. Amen. So they argued against Jesus. Not about who he was, but about where he was telling them to go. See, sometimes we get so caught up in what we want to do and how we want to do it, that we begin to battle against what God directs us to do. Amen? Amen. See, after the 5,000, they had this spirit in them that wasn't of God. See, they had this spirit of authority and power that came from his presence. See, when you go through something that's life-changing, there's a presence there that you know wasn't there before. Amen. You begin to experience something that's so much deeper, come on somebody, than you ever had before, and you can't go backwards. You want to get into the moment right then. I want it right now. God knows sometimes when we want something, it might not be what we need. Come on, somebody. Although he might have it in line for us, we might not be prepared to handle all that he has for us. Amen? Amen. They was caught up in excitement. Have you ever been caught up in the excitement? Oh, yeah. Come on, somebody. Have you ever just been caught up in the excitement of the moment? And you just keep going and going and going, and God is telling you stop, hold up, change, slow down, and you can't stop because you're caught up in yourself, in your own personal desires, more so than what God wants. Have you ever been in a situation where you feel so good, and everybody around you looking and saying, what's wrong with you? See, you in that me moment, and they still going through. See, the 5,000 that had been fed wasn't in the same zone that the disciples was in. They were thankful for being fed. The disciples were thankful for witnessing the power of God. It's a bad situation to take people into a warlike situation and they're not ready for it.
Oh, yeah.
All you being is fed and everybody else ready to go to battle and you're not equipped with what's necessary to go to battle. I don't have faith. I just got thanks that you fed me. I don't have trust. I just got belief that you fed me from that moment. Come on, somebody. Oh, I feel like I'm by myself.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, Christ had to send them across the lake and disperse the crowd in order to calm the disciples down. Come on, somebody.
All right.
See, they were so caught up in the moment, Christ recognized, I need to separate them from this situation. Now, children, get in the boat. Now, class, get in the boat. Come on, guys, let's get in the boat and go to the other side. What? They kept saying what, Brother Minus?
No.
And not okay. Sister Penny, they kept saying, why? And not all right.
Yeah.
See, in the spirit, they was ready to do something that the world does and not what God demands.
Amen.
Come on, somebody.
Yeah.
So he sent them to the other side. But the bigger reason he sent them to the other side to keep them from making a very serious mistake. Sometimes God change your direction because you're going somewhere and you finna get in something that God don't want you to get in.
Amen.
Sometimes things just don't go the way you wanted to go because God has stepped in and said, hold it. That's not where I need you to go.
Amen.
You better stop right there. And he changed the course. Come on, somebody. Yeah. See, also, it was time for Christ to move on.
Yeah.
We can't stay in this moment.
Yeah. Make friends.
We got other people
Come on.
that need to hear this. We just getting started. I haven't even been crucified. We haven't even went through all the tests.
Time is fast.
But you caught up right here and want to stay here.
Your own glory.
No, this is not about your business. This is about God's business. This is about my Father who sent me.
Yeah.
Do you ever pause to ask the question?
Yeah.
When you get caught up in that moment, I just like what I'm doing. I like the way I'm doing. And God saying change. Have you ever just paused and said, okay, God, what is it that you want me to change about?
Yeah.
He told the people, I need to move on. And the people that knew him most wasn't strong enough to believe and do what he said for them to do. So he had to do something to change their attitude.
Yeah. Change their mind.
Oh, it's an attitude changing situation.
Amen.
Come on, somebody.
Attitude adjustment.
Amen.
It also was time for them to move to the other side to take advantage of the daylight,
Yeah.
but also Christ had to pray.
Yeah.
It was prayer time. God had just moved on the people, and he had to get in one with God and get in close fellowship with God and get back in relationship with God so that he can give reverence